people don't like to hear. Persuasion is not about talking better. It's about thinking better. Most people believe persuasion is a technique, some clever words, a psychological trick, a smooth voice. That's nonsense. The greatest persuaders in history were not wordsmiths first, they were clear thinkers first. You don't persuade people with volume. You don't persuade people with pressure. You persuade people when your clarity collides with their confusion. And today, confusion is everywhere. 1. Persuasion starts with authority, not words. Here's the first law of persuasion. People are persuaded by those who appear certain, not those who sound clever. History proves this again and again. Napoleon Bonaparte didn't convince armies to march into freezing Russia with beautiful speeches. He convinced them because he projected certainty. The soldiers believed he knew something they didn't. In business, the same rule applies. When Steve Jobs introduced the iPhone in 2007, he didn't overwhelm people with specifications. He stood calmly and said, "Today, Apple is going to reinvent the phone." That sentence alone carried authority. Why? Because it came from a man who had already reinvented computers, music, and design. Authority persuades before logic even enters the room. If you want to persuade, speak from experience, not theory. Speak from decisions made, not opinions borrowed. Speak like someone who has already walked the road. People don't follow the best speaker. They follow the most grounded one. 2. Persuasion is the transfer of belief. Jim Rohn used to say, "If you believe strongly, others will listen carefully." Persuasion is not manipulation, it's belief transmission. Think about great movements, the civil rights movement, the independence movements, the rise of great companies. None of these started with marketing. They started with belief so strong it became contagious. In leadership and business, the same applies. A manager who says, "We need to hit targets because the board wants it," will never persuade anyone. But a leader who says, "If we don't build excellence here, we will always work under someone else's control," creates belief. People don't move for instructions, they move for conviction. 3. Logic never persuades first, emotion does. This is uncomfortable for intellectuals, but it's true. People decide emotionally and justify logically afterward. That's why smart people make terrible financial decisions. Educated people stay in miserable jobs. Brilliant minds resist obvious truths. History proves this painfully. In the 1970s, many economists warned governments about inflation. The data was clear. The logic was sound. But leaders ignored it because emotionally spending felt good and restraint felt painful. Persuasion works when you touch emotion, then support it with logic. Never reverse the order. In business, don't start with spreadsheets. Start with consequences. Say, "If we continue this way, we will lose our independence." Then show the numbers. Emotion opens the door. Logic walks through it. The power of contrast. How great persuaders think. One of the most powerful persuasion tools is contrast. Jim Rohn mastered this. He would say, "Here's where you are, and here's where you could be." Contrast wakes people up. Henry Ford persuaded workers not just with wages, but with vision. A life of constant struggle versus stability, dignity, and ownership of time. Every great persuader paints two pictures. The future if nothing changes. The future if action is taken. Most people avoid contrast because it feels confrontational. But persuasion without contrast is just conversation. If you want to persuade, show the cost of inaction. Show the reward of discipline. People rarely change because something is good. They change when the pain of staying the same becomes unbearable. 5. Why most people fail to persuade and don't know it. Here's the brutal truth. Most people talk to feel smart, not to change minds. They interrupt. They over-explain. They argue, they correct, and then they wonder why no one listens. Persuasion requires restraint. Abraham Lincoln was famous for writing angry letters and never sending them. He understood something powerful. Emotional control persuades more than emotional expression. When you stay calm, others become uncertain. Your silence becomes weight. Your words gain gravity. In leadership, this is critical. The leader who panics loses influence instantly. The leader who stays composed persuades without force. 6. Persuasion in business, sell without selling. The best salespeople don't sell, they diagnose. A doctor doesn't persuade you to take medicine by arguing. He asks questions until you persuade yourself. That's persuasion at its highest level. In business, ask before you assert. Listen before you pitch. Diagnose before you prescribe. When people feel understood, resistance disappears. People buy confidence, clarity, and certainty, then justify it with features. 7. Leadership persuasion. Influence without authority. The most dangerous leaders are those who rely on titles. Authority can force compliance, but persuasion creates commitment. Military history shows this clearly. Officers who led from the front inspired loyalty. Officers who hid behind rank inspired obedience, but never greatness. If you want to persuade as a leader, model discipline before demanding it. Demonstrate sacrifice before asking for it. Live the standards you speak about. People don't argue with integrity. They surrender to it. 8. Timing, the invisible weapon of persuasion. Even truth fails when timing is wrong. Don't persuade when emotions are high. Don't persuade when pride is threatened. Don't persuade when people feel exposed. Wait until silence appears. Curiosity replaces defensiveness. Questions start forming. The patient persuader always wins. 9. Persuasion requires personal growth. Here's the final lesson Jim Rohn would insist on. You don't become persuasive by learning techniques. You become persuasive by becoming valuable. Your credibility comes from your habits, your results, your character. A man with discipline persuades without shouting. A woman with consistency persuades without arguing. Your life is your loudest argument. Final thoughts, the quiet power of influence. Persuasion is not domination, it's alignment. You don't force people to agree. You help them see what they were blind to. The greatest persuaders in history weren't aggressive, they were anchored. They stood firm while others drifted. And if there is one thing you should remember, let it be this. When your life reflects clarity, your words carry weight. When your words carry weight, persuasion becomes effortless. That is the art of communication. That is the power of leadership.
There's a quiet force that separates the average from the extraordinary. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's not even knowledge. It's discipline. Discipline is the invisible hand that builds greatness in silence. The architect behind every transformed life, and the foundation beneath every lasting success. While the world searches for hacks and shortcuts, discipline builds patiently. It doesn't shout, it doesn't rush, it just shows up again and again and again. And today, we're going to uncover the 8 disciplines that, if mastered, will shape not only your habits, but your identity. Let's begin. Words are more than just sounds. They are energy. They are intention. They shape the way we see ourselves and the way others see us. You've probably heard the phrase, think before you speak. But how often do we really do that? We speak to fill silence. We speak to be heard, not to be understood. We speak reactively without asking whether our words will create connection or conflict. True discipline means pausing. It means filtering your thoughts, not to silence yourself, but to strengthen your impact. A single careless sentence can destroy trust, but a well-chosen phrase can open a door that's been shut for years. So ask yourself, before you speak, is this necessary? Is this helpful? Will this heal or hurt? Is this the voice of my higher self or my ego? The disciplined mind knows. Sometimes silence is the most powerful statement. Because when your words are intentional, they don't just pass through people, they land. They resonate, they change things. Speak less, say more. Let your voice carry purpose, not just volume. People will hurt you. That's not a possibility, it's a guarantee. Sometimes it's unintentional. Other times, it's cruel and calculated. And everything in you will want to react, to hit back, to defend, to expose. But here's the truth. Retaliation is reaction. Discipline is power. The need to strike back is primal. It feels good for a moment, but it never feels right for long. Because when you retaliate, you lower yourself to the very level you're trying to rise above. And in doing so, you give away the very power you were trying to protect. Understand this deeply. Not everything deserves your energy. You don't need to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't need to match energy, especially when that energy is chaos. Discipline is the ability to step back and say, I don't need to win this moment. I'm building a bigger future. Let your success be your response. Let your silence speak louder than your anger. Let your growth make their insults irrelevant. This is not about weakness. This is about wisdom, because self-restraint is self-respect. Everything you do, every action, every decision, every habit, it all begins in your mind. Your thoughts are the architects of your reality. They build your beliefs, and your beliefs build your life. So ask yourself, what are you feeding your mind? Are you filling it with doubt, fear, excuses, endless comparison on social media? Or are you feeding it with clarity, vision, gratitude, and truth? Discipline of the mind means you no longer let your thoughts roam aimlessly. It means you guard your mind like a king protects his kingdom. You can't stop every negative thought from arriving, but you don't have to invite it to stay. Thoughts are visitors. Some need to be welcomed. Others need to be shown the door. Mental discipline is choosing the thoughts that serve your future and letting go of the ones that sabotage it. This isn't about being positive all the time. It's about being intentional all the time. What you dwell on, you become. And if you want to change your life, you have to start by changing your internal conversation. Your mind is not your enemy, but without discipline, it will become one. Train it, feed it, lead it. Time is the great equalizer, rich or poor, famous or forgotten. We all get 24 hours. What separates us is what we do with them. Most people don't spend their time, they waste it. drifting from task to task, saying yes to things they don't care about, checking notifications every 90 seconds, hoping for meaning in pixels. But the disciplined, they treat time like gold. They guard their minutes like a bank guards its vault. They plan, they prioritize, they protect. They don't find time. They make it for the things that matter. Every yes is a no to something else. Every moment spent is a moment you'll never get back. So ask yourself not once a year, but every day, is this helping me build the life I want, or just helping me feel busy? Make time your ally, not your excuse. Because discipline over your time is discipline over your life. We are emotional beings. We feel deeply, we cry, we rage, we fear, we hope, we dream. Emotions are not your enemy, they're your signal system. They're messengers. But they were never meant to be your master. Discipline means learning to feel everything but follow only what aligns with your higher self. You'll feel like quitting. You'll feel discouraged. You'll feel angry. You'll feel jealous. You'll feel hopeless. But feelings aren't facts. And discipline steps in when emotion tries to take the wheel. It says, I hear you, but I'm not letting you drive. Maturity is choosing action over impulse, responsibility over reaction, vision over emotion. You are allowed to feel everything. You are not required to act on everything. The most powerful people are not the most emotionless, they are the most emotionally disciplined. Everyone wants the results, but not everyone wants the repetition, because repetition is boring. It's not sexy. It's not shareable. It's not glamorous. But it's where our lives are transformed. Discipline is doing what needs to be done when no one is clapping, when no one is watching, when progress feels invisible. Your habits shape your future, not your hopes, not your dreams, your habits. So ask yourself, what do I do in the first hour of my day? What do I do when I'm tired? What do I do when no one is holding me accountable? Because that is your real life. Discipline isn't about intensity. It's about consistency. And the truth is this: you don't rise to the level of your vision, you fall to the level of your systems. So build better systems. You can't build a life alone. Success may be personal, but fulfillment is relational. And that means discipline isn't just about how you treat yourself, it's about how you treat others. Relationships will test you. They will reveal your patience, your pride, your triggers, your wounds. In those moments, discipline chooses grace over grudges, listening over lecturing, connection over control. You won't always agree, but you can always choose respect. You won't always understand each other, but you can always choose empathy. You won't always feel heard, but you can choose to listen anyway. Sometimes, the strongest thing you can say is, I was wrong. Let's try again. I love you even when we disagree. That's discipline. That's maturity. That's legacy. When life gets heavy, and it will, you'll be tempted to drift, to quit, to settle, to forget why you started. That's why you need purpose, not as a slogan, but as a North Star. When you feel lost, when the results aren't coming fast enough, when people doubt you or dismiss you, you must return to the reason behind the effort, the why beneath the what. That inner fire that told you, I am meant for more than this. Discipline is the act of showing up even when the path is unclear. It's honoring your commitment long after your mood has changed. It's believing that the work has value even when no one sees it yet. Purpose doesn't eliminate pain. It gives it meaning. And that meaning gives you strength. So write your purpose somewhere. You'll see it every day. Speak it. Live it. Honor it. Because when the storm hits, and it will, purpose will be your anchor. Discipline is not punishment. It's power. It's presence. It's proof that you believe in a future you haven't seen yet. It's not about being perfect. It's about being committed. Discipline will test you. It will humble you. But it will never abandon you. And when others burn out, give up, drift, fall back, you will rise, you will stand, you will endure. And eventually, you will become unrecognizable. Not because you were lucky, but because you were disciplined. So start today. Build the foundation. Speak with purpose. Think with clarity. Act with control. Live with integrity. Master these disciplines, and you will master your life.
Today, I want to share with you a principle that has the power to change your life more than almost anything else you'll ever learn. In fact, if you master this one principle, you will find it easier to achieve success in every area: your career, your health, your finances, your relationships, and your personal growth. That principle is self-discipline. Now, before you tune out and say, I already know that, let me tell you this: knowing something and living it are two very different things. Self-discipline is not just a nice idea. It's the bridge between your dreams and your reality. And today, I want to help you walk that bridge with confidence. Let's begin with a simple truth. Every success story you admire has self-discipline at its foundation. Every gold medal, every thriving business, every masterpiece of art or science, all of them were built by someone who had the ability to do what needed to be done, whether they felt like it or not. Discipline means controlling your actions, your emotions, and your impulses. It's not about denying yourself joy. It's about aligning your daily choices with your long-term vision. Think about this. If you were to plant a seed in your garden and then dig it up every few days to see if it's growing, you'd never see the results. But if you water it, give it sunlight, and consistently care for it without expecting instant results, it will grow. Discipline is that consistent care applied to your own life. A lot of people wait for motivation. They tell themselves, when I feel inspired, I'll start working on my goals. The problem is, motivation is like the weather. It changes without warning. Some days it's sunny and you feel on top of the world. Other days it's stormy and you want to stay in bed. Discipline is different. Discipline doesn't depend on your mood. It's the decision to act, regardless of how you feel. Motivation is doing what you feel like doing. Discipline is doing what must be done. Ask yourself right now, in the last month, how many times did you skip something important just because you didn't feel like it? What would your life look like if you acted on your commitments instead of your feelings? Here's the good news. Discipline is a skill, and like any skill, it can be strengthened through practice. Every time you follow through on a commitment, you strengthen your self-discipline muscle. Start small. If you decide to exercise for 10 minutes a day, do it no matter what. If you commit to saving a certain amount each month, follow through, no matter what. The size of the action doesn't matter at first. The consistency does. Over time, you'll notice something interesting. When you become disciplined in one area, it spills over into others. You might start with your health, but soon, you're more disciplined with your time, your money, and your learning. One of the greatest enemies of self-discipline is the temptation of instant gratification. In our modern world, everything is designed to give you quick hits of pleasure: social media likes, fast food, online shopping. But these quick hits often cost you your long-term goals. Think of your life as a bank account. Every time you choose instant gratification, you are making a small withdrawal from your future. Every time you choose discipline, you are making a deposit. Over time, the deposits grow into wealth, not just financial wealth, but health, confidence, and peace of mind. Here's a question for you. Which matters more? The pleasure you get in the next 5 minutes, or the life you get to live in the next 5 years? Discipline transforms vague wishes into tangible achievements. Anyone can say, "I want to be healthier," or "I want to be financially secure." But only those with discipline create a plan and follow it daily. Set clear goals, write them down, break them into actionable steps, and then, this is where most people fail. Follow those steps whether you feel like it or not. Imagine two people with the same talent and resources. One works when it's convenient, the other works every day. 6 months later, the difference is night and day. That's the power of discipline. Habits are discipline on autopilot. When you build the right habits, you no longer need to summon willpower every time. It becomes automatic. Brushing your teeth doesn't require motivation, right? That's the power of habit. Identify the habits that would make the biggest difference in your life. Is it daily exercise? Reading for 30 minutes? Planning your day the night before? Start small, stay consistent, and let those habits work for you. Something magical happens when you start to see yourself as a disciplined person. You stop negotiating with yourself. A disciplined person doesn't decide every morning whether they'll go for a run, they just run. A disciplined person doesn't debate whether they'll save money, they just save. Your actions shape your identity, and your identity shapes your actions. So choose the identity you want and then live into it every single day. I want to give you a challenge, and I hope you take it seriously. For the next 30 days, pick one area of your life where discipline is lacking. Choose a single action that, if done daily, would move you toward your goals. Do it every single day for 30 days. No excuses, no exceptions. Keep a visible record. Watch your streak grow. At first, you'll feel resistance. Around the second week, you'll feel pride. By the end, you'll feel transformed. Self-discipline works like compound interest. At first, the gains are small, almost invisible, but over time, they multiply. One discipline choice may not change your life today, but 1,000 discipline choices will make you unrecognizable a year from now. Look back at your life, right now. Where you are today is the sum of the disciplined or undisciplined choices you've made in the last 5 years. Where you'll be 5 years from now will be determined by the choices you make starting today. Let me leave you with this. Self-discipline is not a punishment. It is the ultimate form of self-respect. It is the way you prove to yourself that your future matters more than your impulses. If you master this one skill, you will rise above the average in every area of life. Opportunities will find you, people will trust you, you will trust yourself. So don't wait for the perfect time. The perfect time is now. Start today, start small, and never stop. Because if you master self-discipline, you won't just reach your goals, you'll surpass them again and again. And that, my friends, is how ordinary people create extraordinary lives.
Time. We all have it. Yet somehow, we always feel like we're running out of it. But what if time isn't just about the ticking of a clock? What if life isn't measured in minutes, but in moments? Time is not just something that passes. It's something that fills us or escapes us, depending on how we choose to live. There's this idea that life is long, that we'll get around to everything eventually. But reality reminds us that no day is guaranteed. A friend of mine passed away at the age of 44. People said, "That's too young." But maybe he lived more life in those 44 years than many do in 80. Maybe it's not about how long we live, but how deeply we live. Because life isn't about counting the years. It's about making the years count. We all chase time. We say things like, "If only I had more hours in the day. I'll start once I have time. Later, tomorrow, someday." But time doesn't wait. Time doesn't pause. And it certainly doesn't rewind. So the question isn't, how much time do you have? The real question is, what are you doing with the time that you already have? Every single day is a blank canvas, an opportunity, a second chance at doing life better than yesterday. And yet most people wake up and let the day happen to them. They don't design their day. They drift through it, reacting instead of creating. But those who master time, they live differently. Here's the truth. If you want to take control of your time, you need to start before the day starts. Plan your day the night before. Visualize it. Design it. Not in a rigid robotic way, but with clarity, intention, and purpose. Leave room for the unexpected, but don't start the day until you've mentally finished it. That's where your power is. That's how you stop time from slipping through your fingers. Imagine building a hotel. When do you start construction? The answer? As soon as you've already finished it in your mind. You see, the blueprint comes first, then the bricks. Your day is no different. Design it first, then live it. Time is the most precious currency. You can't earn more of it. You can't borrow it. And once it's gone, it's gone. But you can choose how to spend it. And when you fill your time with meaningful experiences, not just tasks or chores, but memories, laughter, learning, and growth, You expand life, not just in length, but in depth. How do you spend your hours? Scrolling endlessly? Reacting to every notification? Running in circles with no direction? Or are you living fully? Showing up for what matters? Doing what feeds your soul? Mastering time doesn't mean becoming a productivity robot. It's not about packing every second with hustle. It's about intention. Waking up 30 minutes earlier to focus your mind. Saying no to what doesn't align. Blocking out distractions. Scheduling silence. Protecting your energy like it's sacred because it is. You don't need to overhaul your entire life overnight. Start small. 1 minute of gratitude in the morning. 10 minutes of planning. 15 minutes of learning. 30 minutes of no distractions. That's how momentum builds. That's how lives change. Time is a silent teacher. It whispers lessons when we're too busy to listen. It flies when we waste it, and slows when we're truly present. It rewards those who respect it, and punishes those who don't. So the question is simple. What are you doing with your time? You were not born to just exist. You were born to live, to love, to build, to feel, to leave your mark on this world. Don't let another day pass on autopilot. Don't sleepwalk through your potential. The clock is ticking, not to pressure you, but to remind you your life is happening right now. You don't need more time. You need to use the time you already have. Plan with purpose, live with passion, and honor your life 1 hour at a time. Because when you master your time, you master your life.
There comes a moment in your life when you're done waiting, done wishing, done blaming. You look in the mirror and say, I've had enough. And that's where change begins. Not with the world, not with luck, with you. What if I told you you're just 10 days away from a completely new direction? Here's the truth. You can't fix what you won't own. Stop giving your power away to your past, to other people, to excuses. I'm this way because of them. I can't because of what happened. If only I had better circumstances. No more. From this moment forward, you take full control. Because when you own it, you can change it. And that is the first day of freedom. Your mindset is your map. If your thoughts are limited, your future will be too. Start feeding your mind what it deserves, not what's familiar. Turn off the noise. Turn up the wisdom. Books, podcasts, silence, whatever helps you think better. Because when you think better, you live better. You don't need to flip your life overnight. You just need small wins, daily wins. Make your bed, drink your water, write 1 page, say no to junk, say yes to peace, little actions, big momentum. You don't build confidence by shouting affirmations in the mirror. You build it by keeping promises to yourself. Discipline isn't punishment, it's power. It's showing up even when you're tired, even when it's boring, even when nobody's watching. The greatest achievers in the world, they're not always the smartest. They're the most consistent. You don't rise when you feel like it. You rise because you've trained yourself to. Look around you. Who are you letting speak into your life? Are they building you or draining you? Cut the noise. Protect your energy. If someone isn't pushing you forward, they're pulling you back. And sometimes, growth means outgrowing people. At the end of each day, ask yourself, what did I do right? Where did I slip? What will I do differently tomorrow? This isn't about judgment. It's about awareness. Awareness is how change becomes permanent. Without it, you're just repeating the same day and calling it a life. Picture the version of you you've always wanted to be. They're already out there. They already exist. How do they talk? How do they show up? What do they do differently? Now bring a piece of that person into today. One step, one habit, one decision. You don't become them overnight. You become them by becoming them a little more each day. This is your time, not next week, not January, not when things settle down. Right now, 10 days of discipline, of focus, of honesty with yourself, of choosing growth over comfort, clarity over chaos, action over delay. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to begin. Because if you start now, in 10 days, you won't just feel different, you will be different. This is your life, and it's waiting for you to show up.
When the alarm bell goes off, it's tempting to pull the blanket over your head. It's tempting to listen to your mind, which whispers, "Take it easy. You've earned it." But that's the difference between someone who wants success and someone who becomes successful. The difference isn't found in the days you feel inspired, it's found in the days you don't. Because winners, true winners, need discipline, not motivation. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is a fire that never goes out. Motivation is a rush of energy after watching a video, hearing a speech, or reading a quote. It's useful, but it's short-lived. Discipline, on the other hand, is the decision you make when the excitement has faded, when no one is cheering, when the only voice you hear is your own. Think about it. If every champion only trained when they felt like it, there would be no champions. If every leader only led when it was convenient, no one would follow them. Winners need discipline, not motivation. And if you want to change your life, really change it, you have to understand this truth deep down in your bones. People love waiting for the right moment, the right time to start the business, the right day to hit the gym, the right mood to study, practice, or create. They tell themselves, "I'll start when I feel ready." But here's the truth. You'll never feel ready. You think the world's best concert pianist feels like practicing 6 hours a day, every single day, for decades? You think a championship marathon runner wakes up excited to run 15 miles in the freezing rain at 5 a.m.? No, they show up because they've built the habit, because they've decided what needs to be done will be done, no matter how I feel. That's discipline. Let me tell you a story. Years ago, there were two art students in the same class. One was a prodigy. Everyone knew it. His sketches were perfect, his strokes confident, his imagination endless. The other, average, nothing special. But while the prodigy only worked when inspiration struck, the average student drew every single day, rain or shine. Fast forward 5 years, guess who became a celebrated artist? Not the prodigy. It was the one who had built a mountain of work through sheer consistency. Why? Because talent without discipline is wasted potential. Discipline without talent still wins. Winners need discipline, not motivation. Motivation is like caffeine. You drink it, you feel powerful, but it wears off and then you crash. If you rely only on motivation, you'll be strong for a day, maybe a week, and then you'll quit the moment things get hard. It's not the person who's motivated for 7 days that wins. It's the person who keeps going for 700 days. And that requires building discipline like a muscle. Imagine this. Your alarm goes off at 5 a.m. It's dark. It's cold. You're tired. You don't want to get up. Motivation whispers, "Stay in bed. You deserve rest." Discipline says, "Get up. We have work to do." Which voice you listen to decides the direction of your life. Nobody is born disciplined. It's not a personality trait. It's not something special people have. It's trained, like a skill. You start with one small, non-negotiable action every day. Make your bed. Write for 10 minutes. Do 20 push-ups. Practice your guitar for 15 minutes. Then you build, slowly, consistently. You don't skip because you're tired. You don't skip because you're busy. You do it because that's who you are now. And one day, you realize it's not about feeling like it anymore. It's just what you do. The truth is, the world doesn't reward the person who starts fast. It rewards the person who keeps going after the excitement dies. The book you've been meaning to write, it won't get finished in a weekend of inspiration. It'll get finished because you wrote 500 words a day for 300 days straight. The body you want, it won't appear because you went to the gym for 2 weeks with insane energy. It'll appear because you trained steadily for 2 years. The business you dream of, it won't explode because you had a brilliant idea. It'll grow because you worked on it every single day, especially on the days you didn't want to. Winners need discipline, not motivation. Here's the harsh truth. There will be a day when the thing you love feels boring, when the routine feels heavy, when you'd rather do anything else. That's the day that separates the amateurs from the professionals. Amateurs quit. Professionals keep going. Discipline becomes easy when you tie it to your identity. Don't say, "I'm trying to run." Say, "I'm a runner." Don't say, "I'm trying to write a book." Say, "I'm a writer." Once it becomes part of who you are, it's no longer a question of motivation. It's just what you do. Every day, you have a choice. Comfort or growth. Excuses or results. Motivation or discipline. And that choice is what builds your future. Years from now, when people look at your life, they won't see the mornings you woke up tired. They won't see the nights you didn't want to work. They won't see the moments when motivation was gone. They'll see the results. The book you wrote, the body you built, the skills you mastered, the life you created. And when they ask, "How did you do it?" you'll smile and say, "Winners need discipline, not motivation."
Success is not something you chase. Success is something you attract by the person you become. And the secret ingredient? It's not luck. It's not chance. It's not waiting for motivation. It's discipline. Everybody wants a good life, but only a few are willing to pay the price. And the price isn't money, the price is daily discipline. Discipline is doing what you should do, when you should do it, whether you feel like it or not. It's saying no to a little pleasure today so you can say yes to a greater reward tomorrow. Let me put it this way. Discipline weighs ounces. Regret weighs tons. And if you want freedom, if you want success, if you want a life of meaning, you've got to choose the ounces today. So, in this seminar, we're going to talk about the disciplines that make the difference. The discipline of time, the discipline of money, the discipline of learning, the discipline of relationships, the discipline of vision, and the discipline of legacy. Because at the end of the day, it's not just what you get, it's what you become that makes the difference. And with a little discipline, you can become someone extraordinary. So, let's get started. Everyone wants the rewards of tomorrow, but only a few are willing to pay the price today. The people who are going to be really successful in the future, they are the ones who choose to make small sacrifices in the present. They say no to ease, no to shortcuts, no to later. Why? Because they've discovered a secret. Discipline today is freedom tomorrow. Now, sacrifice is not a word most people enjoy, but let me tell you, sacrifice simply means you're willing to give up a little comfort right now in exchange for a much bigger reward later. And that's the heart of discipline. I learned this years ago. Self-discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Without the bridge, the dreams fall into the river. So the big question is, can we build the bridge? The answer is yes. Step by step, habit by habit, choice by choice. Sacrifice is not a punishment. It's an investment. You give up sleep to study. You give up a night out to save money. You give up an hour of television to read a book. And every little sacrifice compounds. That's the magic word, compounds. One day of discipline may not change your life, but string together a week, a month, a year of small disciplines, and suddenly you've built a future most people only dream about. Let me put it this way, everyone pays. Either you pay the price of discipline or you pay the price of regret. And believe me, regret is the heavier bill. Some people wait for motivation. They say, when I feel like it, I'll do it. But feelings are a poor master. Discipline says, do it whether you feel like it or not. That's why I tell people, discipline weighs ounces. Regret weighs tons. Self-discipline really is self-control. It's the ability to say to yourself, I will delay a small pleasure today for a greater one tomorrow. The child wants candy now. The adult says, not today, I have bigger plans. And isn't that what maturity really is? The ability to choose later over now? Now here's the philosophy. Either you run the day or the day runs you. Either you control your appetites or your appetites control you. Either you command your time or time commands you. So, we need a simple decision. Who's in charge here? If you say, I am, then discipline has begun. And once you taste the victory of control, even a small one, you start to like it. You skip dessert and suddenly you're proud. You save $10 and suddenly you feel wealthy. Small victories become momentum, and momentum becomes a lifestyle. Now let's talk about goals. Without goals, discipline has no direction. Imagine a man rowing with great strength, but he has no destination. All his effort leads nowhere. But give him a goal, and now his effort makes sense. So the first discipline is the discipline of writing down your goals. Don't trust your memory. When I first learned this, I was amazed. A simple list of goals written clearly gives the mind and body something to work toward, and here's the key. Goals must be specific. Not, I want to be successful. That's too vague. Say instead, I want to increase my income by 20% this year. Or, I want to lose 10 pounds by July. Discipline works best when it has a target. Otherwise, it's like shooting arrows into the sky. And don't just write the goal, write down the reason. Why do you want it? Because when the why is strong, the how becomes easy. Discipline is not about one big heroic effort. It's about the daily choices. Success is not one big leap. Success is a series of small steps, repeated day after day, habits. Show me your habits and I'll show you your future. That's how predictable life is. What you do occasionally doesn't matter much, but what you do consistently shapes everything. Eat well occasionally, no big deal. Eat well consistently, your health transforms. Save money once, no big deal. Save money consistently, you build wealth. Discipline means building a few good habits and letting them carry you. Because once a habit is formed, it asks less of your willpower. You don't struggle to brush your teeth. Why? Because it's a habit. That's the secret of turning discipline into ease. Convert discipline into habit. Now let's talk about time. Time is life's greatest equalizer. Rich or poor, old or young, we all get the same 24 hours. That's the deal. The difference between those who achieve much and those who achieve little is not in hours, but in how those hours are used. Discipline with time is the foundation of success. Most people waste time on what doesn't count. They major in minor things. They spend the best hours of their life on distractions that don't matter. Here's a phrase I want you to remember. Don't mistake movement for achievement. Just because you're busy doesn't mean you're getting anywhere. The question is not, what did I do today? The real question is, what did I move closer to today? Plan your day the night before. Set priorities. Do the first things first. If you start the morning on purpose, the day bends to your will. If you start it aimlessly, the day runs away from you. You can't manage time. Time just keeps ticking. What you manage is yourself, and discipline is the tool. Success is rarely a single event. It's the result of small disciplines added up, compounded over time. Think of the farmer. He doesn't plant today and harvest tomorrow. He plants, waters, weeds, protects, and then harvest comes. Success works the same way. The trouble is, most people quit watering too soon. They get impatient. They say, I've been disciplined for a week. Where's the reward? But discipline pays like compound interest, slowly at first, then all at once. So here's the principle. Discipline may not reward you today, but it never cheats you. The harvest always comes. The man who reads 20 minutes a day, that's not much. But do it for a year and you've read dozens of books. The woman who saves $5 a day, that's not much. But in 10 years, she has thousands. The little edge, repeated, becomes a great advantage. That's the compound effect of discipline. Let's move to another subject, learning. Formal education may get you a living, but self-education can make you a fortune. The discipline of learning is one of the great secrets of the successful. Leaders are readers, winners are students. The day you stop learning is the day you stop earning. Read the books, listen to the audios, go to the classes, find mentors, stay curious, never stop being a student. Now, some people say, I don't have time to read. Well, let me ask, how much television are you watching? Swap an hour of television for an hour of study, and in a few years, you'll be in the top of your field. That's how powerful learning is. The discipline of learning creates an expanding life. Ignorance costs more than books. Ignorance costs opportunities, promotions, relationships, even health. So learn. Pay the price of study now, and you'll enjoy the benefits for the rest of your life. Money responds to discipline too. It doesn't matter how much you earn. What matters is what you keep. Some people earn a fortune and end up broke. Why? No financial discipline. Others earn modestly and become wealthy. Why? Financial discipline. Here's the rule. Always spend less than you earn. That's it. Save a portion. Invest wisely. Avoid unnecessary debt. Live below your means so that later you can live above them. Discipline with money means you plan, you budget, you delay gratification, you save for tomorrow. It's not the car you drive, it's the money you keep. It's not the clothes you wear, it's the wealth you build. Don't buy things you don't need to impress people you don't like. Wealth is not luck. Wealth is discipline applied to money over time. Now let's talk about people. Success is not just what you achieve, it's also who you bring with you, who you become in the process, and the lives you touch. The discipline of relationships means you invest in people with time, with love, with support. Don't take people for granted. Don't expect loyalty without giving loyalty. Don't expect respect without showing respect. Learn to listen. Learn to encourage. Learn to apologize. It takes discipline to control your tongue, discipline to avoid criticism, discipline to speak kind words when anger tempts you. But here's the payoff. People respond. They remember kindness. They repay loyalty. They stand by you in your tough seasons. A life of success without good relationships is a hollow victory. Discipline makes you wealthy in more than money. It makes you wealthy in love and friendship and trust. Now, let's lift our eyes a little higher. Discipline is not just about what you avoid, it's about what you pursue. Vision gives discipline a reason to exist. A person without vision is like a ship without a rudder, moving but lost. A person with vision can endure sacrifice, can endure struggle, because the picture of the future pulls them forward. So here's the question. What do you see for yourself? Write it down. Make it clear. See yourself healthier, wealthier, wiser. See your family thriving. See your business growing. Paint it in your mind until it becomes more real than your present circumstances. Because here's the truth. Discipline without vision feels like punishment. Discipline with vision feels like purpose. Don't let the distractions of today steal the picture of tomorrow. Guard your vision with the discipline of focus. Now, let me add one more. Contribution. A life only about me is too small. Discipline isn't just for building your own house, it's for helping build the community, the nation, the world. Give, share, teach, serve. These are disciplines too. Discipline your time so you can volunteer. Discipline your money so you can give. Discipline your words so you can encourage. You see, success is not just what you get, it's what you give. The man who gives discipline to his children gives more than money. The woman who gives encouragement to a friend gives more than a gift. The measure of a successful life is not only income, it's also influence. Not only what you gather, but what you scatter. And now, the final discipline, the discipline of legacy. What will you leave behind? Not the car, not the furniture, not even the bank account. Those will fade. But the example, the wisdom, the kindness, These will outlive you. Be disciplined enough to live a life worth remembering. Live in such a way that your children, your grandchildren, even strangers will say, because they lived, life is better. Discipline today writes the story others will tell tomorrow. So let me leave you with this thought. Don't just pursue success. Pursue significance. Don't just live long. Live well. Don't just make a living. Make a difference. So here we are. We've talked about sacrifice, about goals, about time, money, learning, relationships, vision, contribution, and legacy. And it all comes back to one word: discipline. Discipline is the foundation of freedom, the price of success, the builder of dreams. So, don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems, wish for more discipline. Don't wish for less challenge, wish for more wisdom. Because if you'll pay the price today, you'll enjoy the rewards tomorrow. That's the promise of discipline. That's the path to a life rich in success, in love, and in meaning. Let me begin with a truth most people don't like to hear. Persuasion is not about talking better. It's about thinking better. Most people believe persuasion is a technique, some clever words, a psychological trick, a smooth voice. That's nonsense. The greatest persuaders in history were not wordsmiths first, they were clear thinkers first. You don't persuade people with volume. You don't persuade people with pressure. You persuade people when your clarity collides with their confusion. And today, confusion is everywhere. 1. Persuasion starts with authority, not words. Here's the first law of persuasion. People are persuaded by those who appear certain, not those who sound clever. History proves this again and again. Napoleon Bonaparte didn't convince armies to march into freezing Russia with beautiful speeches. He convinced them because he projected certainty. The soldiers believed he knew something they didn't. In business, the same rule applies. When Steve Jobs introduced the iPhone in 2007, he didn't overwhelm people with specifications. He stood calmly and said, "Today, Apple is going to reinvent the phone." That sentence alone carried authority. Why? Because it came from a man who had already reinvented computers, music, and design. Authority persuades before logic even enters the room. If you want to persuade, speak from experience, not theory. Speak from decisions made, not opinions borrowed. Speak like someone who has already walked the road. People don't follow the best speaker. They follow the most grounded one. 2. Persuasion is the transfer of belief. Jim Rohn used to say, "If you believe strongly, others will listen carefully." Persuasion is not manipulation, it's belief transmission. Think about great movements, the civil rights movement, the independence movements, the rise of great companies. None of these started with marketing. They started with belief so strong it became contagious. In leadership and business, the same applies. A manager who says, "We need to hit targets because the board wants it," will never persuade anyone. But a leader who says, "If we don't build excellence here, we will always work under someone else's control," creates belief. People don't move for instructions, they move for conviction. 3. Logic never persuades first, emotion does. This is uncomfortable for intellectuals, but it's true. People decide emotionally and justify logically afterward. That's why smart people make terrible financial decisions. Educated people stay in miserable jobs. Brilliant minds resist obvious truths. History proves this painfully. In the 1970s, many economists warned governments about inflation. The data was clear. The logic was sound. But leaders ignored it because emotionally spending felt good and restraint felt painful. Persuasion works when you touch emotion, then support it with logic. Never reverse the order. In business, don't start with spreadsheets. Start with consequences. Say, if we continue this way, we will lose our independence. Then show the numbers. Emotion opens the door. Logic walks through it. The power of contrast. How great persuaders think. One of the most powerful persuasion tools is contrast. Jim Rohn mastered this. He would say, here's where you are, and here's where you could be. Contrast wakes people up. Henry Ford persuaded workers not just with wages, but with vision. A life of constant struggle versus stability, dignity, and ownership of time. Every great persuader paints two pictures. The future if nothing changes. The future if action is taken. Most people avoid contrast because it feels confrontational. But persuasion without contrast is just conversation. If you want to persuade, show the cost of inaction. Show the reward of discipline. People rarely change because something is good. They change when the pain of staying the same becomes unbearable. 5. Why most people fail to persuade and don't know it. Here's the brutal truth. Most people talk to feel smart, not to change minds. They interrupt, they over-explain, they argue, they correct, and then they wonder why no one listens. Persuasion requires restraint. Abraham Lincoln was famous for writing angry letters and never sending them. He understood something powerful. Emotional control persuades more than emotional expression. When you stay calm, others become uncertain. Your silence becomes weight. Your words gain gravity. This is critical. The leader who panics loses influence instantly. The leader who stays composed persuades without force. 6. Persuasion in business, sell without selling. The best salespeople don't sell, they diagnose. A doctor doesn't persuade you to take medicine by arguing. He asks questions until you persuade yourself. That's persuasion at its highest level. In business, ask before you assert, listen before you pitch, diagnose before you prescribe. When people feel understood, resistance disappears. People buy confidence, clarity, and certainty, then justify it with features. 7. Leadership persuasion. Influence without authority. The most dangerous leaders are those who rely on titles. Authority can force compliance, but persuasion creates commitment. Military history shows this clearly. Officers who led from the front inspired loyalty. Officers who hid behind rank inspired obedience, but never greatness. If you want to persuade as a leader, model discipline before demanding it. Demonstrate sacrifice before asking for it. Live the standards you speak about. People don't argue with integrity. They surrender to it. 8. Timing, the invisible weapon of persuasion. Even truth fails when timing is wrong. Don't persuade when emotions are high. Don't persuade when pride is threatened. Don't persuade when people feel exposed. Wait until silence appears. Curiosity replaces defensiveness. Questions start forming. The patient persuader always wins. 9. Persuasion requires personal growth. Here's the final lesson Jim Rohn would insist on. You don't become persuasive by learning techniques. You become persuasive by becoming valuable. Your credibility comes from your habits, your results, your character. A man with discipline persuades without shouting. A woman with consistency persuades without arguing. Your life is your loudest argument. Final thoughts, the quiet power of influence. Persuasion is not domination, it's alignment. You don't force people to agree. You help them see what they were blind to. The greatest persuaders in history weren't aggressive, they were anchored. They stood firm while others drifted. And if there is one thing you should remember, let it be this. When your life reflects clarity, your words carry weight. When your words carry weight, persuasion becomes effortless. That is the art of communication. That is the power of leadership.
There's a quiet force that separates the average from the extraordinary. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's not even knowledge. It's discipline. Discipline is the invisible hand that builds greatness in silence. The architect behind every transformed life, and the foundation beneath every lasting success. While the world searches for hacks and shortcuts, discipline builds patiently. It doesn't shout, it doesn't rush, it just shows up again and again and again. And today, we're going to uncover the 8 disciplines that, if mastered, will shape not only your habits, but your identity. Let's begin. Words are more than just sounds. They are energy. They are intention. They shape the way we see ourselves and the way others see us. You've probably heard the phrase, think before you speak. But how often do we really do that? We speak to fill silence. We speak to be heard, not to be understood. We speak reactively without asking whether our words will create connection or conflict. True discipline means pausing,